Did you ever do the Cadbury store in Dunedin?
No.
So when I was a kid, they obviously opened it, and it was like marketed as Willy Wonka in the real world.
Yeah.
And they had a chocolate waterfall and all these things. And the very early days of the tour, you would walk out with honestly like $20 worth of chocolate for free. Like they would just give you every station you'd stop at. You'd
What
get
is
like
this?
the Cadbury factory, Cadbury chocolate.
They closed that, eh?
Yeah, it used to be in
yeah.
Dunedin. But you'd like get bars as you walked around. The workers would just like lean over, and there's all these perspex barriers.
Yeah.
But they'd like reach over and drop you chocolates, and you would have a bucket and you'd walk through. And then you go into this giant silo that they called the chocolate waterfall, and it was just this huge bucket that had like tons and tons of melted chocolate in it, and they would just like pour in front of you, and it was like hearing like a thunderstorm. It was so loud.
How many children did they lose in that bucket, do you think, over the years?
Well, yeah, exactly. None in the end, but but progressively as I got older, the tour gave you less and less chocolate because I think they realized it wasn't super cost effective, even though it's not that expensive. But then like you would walk out with one chocolate bar. The first time I ever went was like in their opening year. I walked out with about 13, 14 chocolate bars.
Wow.
Yeah, they got rid of it.
Really missed
now it's
out.
the hospital. Now it's the hospital.
Is it?
Yeah,
What, that same building?
Yeah, they're building it. That's what Simeon's
Oh,
working
yes. Best friend, Simeon.
on. Why is it taking so long, mate? Crack
Well,
the
he's
whip
trying.
on.
He's. I don't have any whip over anyone. but-
Everything he does is like people criticize him hard, eh?
yeah, I don't.
The flyover. Oh, it's
Sucks.
It's only 50K. Okay.
You can't win. You
It's still
can't win.
better.
You can't
I
win
think
the
he's
public.
got some of the toughest portfolios around, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Minister of
Okay,
Health.
here's a hypothetical. If you were an MP, what portfolio would you absolutely not want?
Oh, that's a good shout.
I'll tell you what I would want is defence.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Defence and space. Judith's got all the good ones, eh?
I think defence would be cool.
Space.
There's not a lot asked of you,
Yeah,
really.
she does. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have a huge amount of responsibility.
For defence.
Well, yeah, because you
If
just
you're in
don't.
New Zealand,
you
yeah,
just
yeah.
don't preside over a very big military. So
Yeah.
I mean, let's,
Small but mighty.
let me rephrase that. You preside over a very
mighty.
tiny military.
Aren't we getting new helicopters?
Yeah.
I saw that recently, yeah.
From the US.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
really,
yeah.
really
decent
Yeah.
ones.
top-notch
Yeah,
ones.
Yeah, a few $1 billion worth. Yeah.
yeah.
surprised we didn't just get them made in China.
Getting everything
them
made
over
in
on the
China.
But he said, what, 2.5 billion? Did you say that?
Allegedly.
2.1 billion?
Yeah. Allegedly.
That's how you double up, save on freight costs. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if we're going to spend that much on maintenance and taking out the weird chips that they've put in there to stop the ship from going from A to B.
Someone, when you originally talked about it a few months ago, was like,
Yeah.
why would they bug the Inter-Islander? What sort of info are they going to get there? But just imagine, right, we're in a war and we need to get things between North and South Island, and one of
it's
the
a
key ways
one
is like
ship.
freight, and then they just kill switch it. They're just like, oh,
In
yeah,
the middle of the Cook Strait.
yeah, in the middle of the
down.
bush, just kill switch it. We're trying to move military equipment.
I don't know if you saw, but you know when that bridge in Baltimore, I think it was about a year ago,
Where the ship crashed in?
Yeah, the
Oh,
bridge
yeah,
just
yeah,
came
yeah.
tumbling down because a large cargo ship crashed into it.
Was it Chinese?
No. But my story is
As
related
in
to
the
what you
ship.
said because
Yeah.
of the ship
Oh,
involved.
yeah.
But
But it came out yesterday that the reason they think that it lost steerage is simply because of one wire that was loose.
Really?
That was it.
That's
So
crazy.
I mean, I imagine that there was a series of
Yeah,
steps
yeah.
they had to go
Yeah,
through
yeah.
in that kind of
and
emergency
there's a
situation.
collective sigh of relief from all the lesbian captains. They couldn't handle another one of those. They could not handle another controversy in that space.
I feel that that's a reference to the Manuanui, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
Oh, come on, man. 685, pay them out. Samoa needs some sort of payment here for what they've done to our reefs, mate.
They got 6 million for it, didn't they? 6 million?
6 million.
That's
That's
not a
nothing,
lot.
mate. That's
I
nothing.
I know it's not, but like, it's got 6 million.
Your boy Andrew Tate spends 6 million a day.
First of all, not my
my
boy.
goodness.
Started
Second of all,
early.
I think he's running for prime minister and
Nah, he got banned.
for running.
Oh, well, I think he was going to run in the UK, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was
Arian's
called-
not that guy, everybody. Just
No,
so you
no,
know.
no. He is buff, I will say. But
Not again. Why do you know so much about him?
no, he's just on my feed. But yeah, I thought he was running as
I
the
think he said he was going to.
as the Bruv party.
He-
That's
he-
what I hear.
He was
Is that what
running-
it's called?
Bruv party.
Bruv
Yeah.
Party, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He was running in the same way that Kanye was running for president.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah,
more
yeah,
like a social movement.
Just a
thing.
self-promotion.
just for
thing.
clout.
Yeah.
Sell.
Everyone can say, I'm running for prime minister. Would you guys vote for me?
I would.
And this is why we need informed voters. This is why.
You know,
Is my employment
did you
dependent
see?
on it?
You see the Opportunities Party of just is it
don't
opportunity?
really.
What do they
Yeah,
change
yeah,
it to?
Quayle
Opportunity
Long.
or opportunities?
Top.
They've run out of
Yeah.
multiple options.
It's just one opportunity.
I mean, they've just kind of like relaunched themselves, and they're aiming for what 150,000 votes.
Mate, they immediately ruined their campaign. They immediately well, she goes on the she launches
Oh,
on
she goes
Sunday.
on the platform?
She goes on the largest platform with a Q&A, Does a pretty lackluster interview. Spends all of Monday celebrating. Wakes up on Tuesday, goes on the platform, says that people can become biological women.
Really?
World's shortest
Yeah.
campaign. Immediately just tore to shreds online. Then Sean has Gareth Morgan on yesterday, and he's like, I should never have let them take the party. I should never have let them keep running it.
Yeah, but see, the problem is that all I can think of when I remember Gareth Morgan in charge of that party was him saying that we needed to get rid of all cats.
And what is
I mean, if
another
that's all
campaign
you can
promise this
remember
time round? No, it's Luxon saying it.
What?
Get rid of feral cats.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that, and I thought it was just a headline about something else. I thought it was
Gareth
like
Morgan
dealing
wasn't just
with,
saying feral cats. He was saying get rid of all cats.
I'm actually on board with that. I'm not going to lie.
No, stop. This is
Sure,
I hate-
I know
hate
you're a dog
cats.
person.
I hate
Yeah.
cats. You know who loves cats? The devil.
Why?
Because they're the enemy's pet.
Are they?
Yeah, mate. Mate, you look at these false gods.
Yeah, like the Egyptians, they got their little. Oh,
you
and,
tell
and,
me.
the, and the Chinese restaurant, they always have the.
Okay, I've always wanted one of those, low
Yeah,
key.
yeah, it's kinda
but then I
sick,
feel a little bit it's not appropriate to have. Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, I've never heard that theory
The lucky
before.
cat.
I've never heard that before, but anyway, yeah.
What, that cats are of the enemy?
Yeah,
You've got a cat, eh?
I do.
And a dog now, though.
Yeah,
You've seen the light.
yeah.
How was the dog?
I'm a pet guy. Dogs a whirlwind. Very, very difficult to control. Very clever, and that makes it worse. You know, clever and just crazy.
Clever how so? Like, what does it do?
I mean, she can do all the commands. Like she can.
Oh, wow,
she can answer
already?
all the commands. Yeah.
Young girl.
Yeah.
Wow.
You sit, lie down, come, speak, like all of that.
Speak.
Yeah, she's only like 12, 13
Bloody
weeks.
amazing, eh?
Yeah.
What do you mean speak?
Not like a parrot, but you know, like you say speak and then she'll do a little bark.
All
That's
right, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
No, it is.
That's
It's
actually
amazing.
sick.
I mean, I don't even know who taught her how to do it. I'm probably my
Yeah,
wife.
because you got
but
her
yeah.
real fresh. Like,
We got her the day after you got
Newborn.
back from overseas. Yeah.
and it was quite young when you got her.
Oh yeah.
I
Like
love
two-
how you
she
use
was
like
2 months.
human terminology. Like, oh, you got her fresh, like a newborn, right? A newborn. It's
I don't
called a
know.
puppy.
I don't know how these things
Called a
work.
puppy.
Like,
It's not a
life is-
newborn.
life
When
is
you get a
life.
puppy, you don't say, "Oh, this is my newborn dog."
That's what
called a-
people do, though. People
People
get
who
pet,
don't have lives.
yeah, people get pets instead of getting married and having.
You don't
children.
have a pet, eh?
My sister has a cat, and it lives in the same house that I live in.
A lot of people in Iran have, I imagine they have dogs, right?
No, illegal, haram.
Really? To have a dog?
Yeah. Well, it's getting better and better, but the government, it's so sad. The government just rounds up dogs and euthanizes them. And
Well,
gets
because they're unclean in Islam.
Is it?
yeah, they're unclean animals.
Haram, yeah.
And
Are you allowed to have cats in Islam?
cats are also unclean, but like animals in general are unclean. But most people, because they're just
What do
secular,
you mean? Animals are unclean.
it's the same thing with the Jews and
Yeah, but the
and
Jews
old,
aren't telling. They're
the Hebrew
pork
Bible.
and shellfish.
Yeah, I know, but it's the same mindset of like it's an unclean animal. Look, there is logic behind it in terms of it's an animal and it's been in the wild and things like that.
Yeah,
there's,
yeah,
there's
it's issues
logic,
around
but
hygiene,
but
yeah.
in today's society, you can have clean, nice dogs like your beautiful dog Margot, and it'll see I won you over. Just how
Look at
quick
that.
was that? There you go.
I'm gonna have to
That's
stop
good.
ask you to stop looking at my dog like that. Calling her beautiful. She's a dog.
But people have dogs in Iran, but quietly and in their houses and in their villas and. But people.
So it's one of
people
those
get
ones behind closed doors. It's like
Yeah.
drinking. It's like drinking in a lot of these
It's like every law.
Islam nations
Yeah.
where it's like drinking's haram unless you have tinted windows.
Yeah.
And then it's
literally.
actually really great.
Oh, I mean everything in Iran. You put in. There's a very funny thing happening because sorry, I don't want to derail and talk about Iran, but
No, please.
I'm going to quickly. Because it's obviously an Islamic Republic of Iran. It's a religious nation run by Sharia, religious laws, and they're having this real severe, very bad drought. In
yeah, they
in
were running
Tehran.
out of water in Tehran. Huh?
Yeah, terrible. That's like the worst they've had in 60 years or something.
Wow.
Really?
And they're talking about evacuating the city and sending people. So it's really bad. And the politicians have come out and said, it's because people are sinning too much. There's too much sin. And for the longest time, the government's demonizing the West. Like, the West are the dirty sinners and, look at their woman. They've got their hair out and, they're so loose. And everyone's saying, wait, what happened to the Western sinners? Like, they've got all the rain. They've got so much rain. They've got so much land and blessings and fruit and everything's just so what happened to us?
Did you see all those imams who were really angry when the ceasefire happened? because in Gaza,
Yeah.
and they were blaming LGBTQ communities who were supporting them. They're like, the reason that we have a ceasefire and not victory over Israel is because we let the LGBTQ support us.
Really? I haven't seen this.
And I was like, this is...
That's
And
crazy.
they went online, they streamed it.
I haven't seen this.
That's
That's crazy. What? Because the LGBTQ encouraged the end of the war.
Well, it brought anger to them from Allah. Like they lost favor with Allah because they let them. Yeah,
Well, hey, don't anger Allah.
sure. I mean, if that's how you want to live. Yeah. Oh, lads, great to see you all again. It's been a while. Here we are, sitting here and having a yarn. It's great. Lots happening. Arian, you've given us a bit of a digest that we can talk about. Yeah. But where do you want to start, mate? We got a lot on there. We got the BSA. We got harassment, stalking, puberty blockers. Anything tickle your fancy there?
BSA quickly. I just wanted to comment that what happened with the BSA is the Act has put in a members bill to get rid of, and I appreciate it. But the reason I put that in there is I wanted to open the floor to virtue signaling forms of legislation that you just put in a members bill that says you're going to do something, but there's no guarantee that bill is ever going to get picked out.
Do you reckon it's like a low risk way to get votes?
Yeah, so that's kind of the reason I put that in there to open discussion on that. It signals your position without actually doing anything.
It's not actually a binding commitment, right?
No, not at all.
You can just easily pull it out again and replace it with another bill.
Yeah.
You can only have so many in there at a time, eh?
Yeah, so it's what, approximately one per MP?
Yeah, I looked the other day and I think there's like 60 in there.
Yeah, I remember when Winston put in his fireworks one and took out the other one temporarily, the women's spaces one. Yeah. I think he said there was 52 bills in there at that point.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
In the biscuit tin.
It is actually a biscuit tin so in Parliament there is a biscuit tin for our listeners who don't know. And in the tin there are potential laws that could be picked out.
That's so cool.
That's so cool.
Parliament's like so funny.
That's sick.
Like a lot of the law behind it, like LORE law, not LAW law, but like all of the history. You would know a lot about it because you obviously studied politics and history. And I'm not making any other statement there. I'm not making
It's a great way to set me up for a fall, eh? Like, no, you know so much about it. So what do you know about it? Well,
even when we were talking about the regulatory standards bill, right? I thought your comment that you made around the need for it because so many people don't understand how legislation works or how to draft legislation. Right?
Yeah, by so many people, like so many MPs don't understand.
Yeah, like that for me is crazy, and I'm always impressed when I meet someone who understands the system. Well, obviously, we'd all worked with Jonathan extensively, who seems to know everything about the system and how.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's actually worked there, so
yeah. And I remember one time he said that to me. He's like, "Well, not everyone who's in Parliament knows the things that I know." He's like, "I was just a huge fan of Parliament, and not a fan. That wasn't the word he used. I shouldn't paint him like that." But
but he's a student
of the game,
student of the procedure, right? He understands the procedure. No, I think that that is one of the problems is that we have MPs who, and it's not their fault that they're not all lawyers, right? But even a lot of those who are lawyers and now are in Parliament don't seem to study the system and understand procedurally how it all really works. But I think more importantly that a lot of them don't really kind of focus enough on legal principles that need to be present when you're passing good laws. So,
do you know what's interesting about law? Is it's such a highly regarded profession, and you have to go to university obviously to become a lawyer. Yeah. But unlike, and you might say this is the difference between like a social and a hard. I would have traditionally classified law or being a lawyer as like a hard skill as opposed to a cultural or social skill. But it's become more social because you get so much diversity of opinion amongst lawyers. You wouldn't get that with engineers. You wouldn't get that with biologists. And it's sort of the whole profession's changed. Where ideology now seems to matter just as much as legal acumen or understanding of the law. Like I hate talking to lawyers most of the time. I talked to a lawyer last night, and I was like, I can't believe you're a lawyer. I hope I never go to. Well, see,
the thing about law, especially today, is that people specialize, to like an infinite degree. So, and that's true with a lot of professions now, right? There's just so much information. There's so much sort of knowledge that needs to be captured or understood that you end up having to, really sort of zero in on just one small area.
Yeah, you can't be an expert on everything.
No. I remember our family lawyer. He was a good friend of ours, and he only just recently passed away at like 97, I think it was. And he had an incredible knowledge and like sort of not just depth but also breadth of knowledge when it came to the law. mean, someone like that in Parliament, he would have had my vote every time. Just because it just gives you a command of the overall sort of process that you've got to have.
Do you reckon there should be a basic competency test that you have to pass?
No.
To just understanding of the system, or just I suppose that does set.
I mean, it helps if you can read and write, but no. My straight away my answer would be no.
Yeah,
For what?
As I ask the question and you answer, I am. That was a stupid question.
For Parliament.
Yeah.
Oh, right,
because
right.
it removes the average person.
Don't be put off by my confident response.
No, I agree with you. I didn't think through the question critically before I asked it.
Parties do have schools. If you want to run as an MP, you have to go through like the National Politics School or the ACT Party Politics School. So I think there
Probably
is
have to read the Communist Manifesto for
some of these ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. Oh, 100%. No question about it. I won't name names, Green Party, but
Hey,
so
that
there
was
is an
really
element
offensive.
of
That was
training.
really offensive to whoever's next on their list because they'll be in next soon.
Dude, they've had like 20 MPs through Parliament. Like they got what?
Turnover's higher.
Yeah, they've got 15 MPs.
You know who's
they
next
got
on their list?
15%. Who?
A pole dancer.
That's insane.
I'm not even lying.
No, that's not real.
I'm not even lying.
Is that a joke?
No. So when they went to replace, who was the last person that left? Ben Doyle. There was a doctor behind him, and he was hesitant as to whether or not he would take the spot. Behind him was a pole dancer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the next in line is a former
I want to see your search history tomorrow. I want to make sure that you're not looking this up too much.
Green Party pole dancer. The pole is a tree, though.
Yeah. And not the Roy Morgan Cura poles, just to be clear.
Oh, yes. Yeah. No, thank you.
Like just on that point though, your question, should there be a
The
test?
competency, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key thing is that like in New Zealand history, it's probably our most successful prime ministers in terms of those who are longest serving and kind of had, I guess, a command not just of their party, but like had a pretty strong public following. Though there's three in particular that I can think of that literally wouldn't have gone beyond the age of 14 or 15 at school. Like they
Yeah.
I
think we talked about it when Jim Bolger passed away.
Yeah. That's what we did.
Farmer.
So that's why I was like,
You're so right, though. Okay, this is a question. Do you think that to be the Prime Minister, the more important thing is to be really, really smart or to be a really great leader that can bring in a great team? Because it seems like...
I mean, I think there's a sort of an intelligence that you need in order to be a good leader. I don't think it's just purely instinctive. You've got to be able to read a room. You've got to be able to understand where people are at. You've got to understand what motivates people. That takes I mean, maybe it's an intelligence slightly different to solving an IQ test, but it's an emotional intelligence, as people say.
EQ.
But I think that's massively important, especially in a democracy.
Yeah.
Because we often these days think that just getting your view across the line and getting your bill passed is what it's all about. But it's really as much, if not more, about how you work with people that have differing views.
Yeah.
And being able to actually form coalitions in the first place and then figure out how to get cross-party support on something, that's a huge skill. And it's necessary to keep democracy going. So,
Well, speaking of cross-party support, we had the puberty blockers blocked. We blocked puberty blockers. When I say we,
good
it's the
segue
royal
there.
we. It wasn't
us three winning.
It was not directly us. No, it's been obviously a big push for a long time now. Since the election, it was a campaign promise. Now it's a promise kept, some of them like to say. But Winston, Simeon, Karen, I talk like I know these guys, eh? Winston Peters, Honourable Winston Peters.
Yes.
Right on.
Minister Simeon Brown and Minister Karen Shaw seem to have got a pretty good result there. Thoughts, feelings, opinions?
well, I think it's just way overdue. This should have been, I mean, it shouldn't have been happening in the first place, in my view. But the fact that this report has been sitting on at Ducey's desk,
The cash
apparently.
report? Or the
No.
puberty blockers, eh? Yeah.
Well, so not just the cash report, but it was a report done by, I think, our own Ministry of Health.
Yeah.
Ministry of, was it Mental Health? Not Ministry of Mental Health.
he's
He's the
been
Minister of
a-
Mental Health.
a minister.
But what I meant to say is that the Ministry had done this report based on what had come out of the UK through the cash report.
Ages ago.
And so ultimately, what's the clinical evidence for it?
Did they
There
release
wasn't
that
an-
report publicly?
No, that's the
didn't
problem.
they?
Is that Ducey has been sitting on that report for well over a year. I can't remember now exactly
Since
when
the
it was.
election.
But then
I
you get the
think
you get the
ages
Tangata
ago.
report out straight away public. You get that report off the back of the Christchurch massacre. All these reports are straight out there,
Yeah.
pushing for hate speech, hate crimes, and for expanding the HRA.
Well, I mean, I think everybody knew what the report this time was going to say.
Well, they said that New Zealand was, I think, per capita prescribing puberty blockers more than all comparable countries.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
most
that's
comparable
what I'd
countries.
heard
Really?
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, more than the UK.
We were prescribing more.
Yeah, what is per capita the right word? Or
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I had
Crazy.
no
eh?
idea.
Well, that's why Bob with Family First, when
Yeah.
he did his 2 detransitioner stories,
Yeah.
they got millions of views.
Really?
And there are only 2 stories that are public. There's so many other stories that aren't public.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. What do you think about it all?
Oh, I think it's time, and I think he's taken a pretty smart approach in terms of pausing it, moving forward, because there are people who are unfortunately receiving the medication now. Young people, children.
Is pausing a technical use there? Like, I had someone reach out and say,
I think
are you
it's
concerned about the use of pause as opposed to...
Well, so this is what's happened. I think he said pause, and the pause. I was listening to him talk to Heather yesterday, Simeon, and saying, "Well, this is a pause because we're reviewing the risks and the benefits of this moving forward." Like, I think it's a political approach to it.
I would love to see a list of benefits.
Yeah, well,
If there's a
yeah,
list
yeah,
of
yeah,
benefits.
yeah. So
that-
Well,
yeah.
they do have to keep the treatment available for like
people
breast
who are
cancer.
already on it.
early
Yeah.
onset, puberty onset. Yeah.
So the treatment is still there for other things. The medication is still there for other things. But this idea that a 4-year-old can decide or 5-year-old can decide that I don't want to be the gender I am, and then be medically.
Yeah, I don't think they can be at that age though.
What was the age? Like
I'm
was
pretty
it-
sure it's more around 12,
13,
Oh, okay.
12,
13, yeah. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah,
It's
sorry.
conversation. The fact
But
is-
still, the point is that
Yeah.
teenagers don't need to be doing this.
these
It's just-
and if you want to
conversations
do
are
it when you're an adult, look, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, you've already been through puberty.
yeah, although even then there's a question around whether the taxpayer should be funding this.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely not.
No, why not?
I mean, I
Why
don't,
am I paying for people's castration?
You're paying for their cancer treatment.
Yeah. But
well, I
they
think
didn't
first of all,
choose to get cancer.
like, you can put aside any kind of like philosophical views around gender and stuff, and just ask the basic question to start with. What clinical benefit is there,
Yeah.
and then beyond that, not only what is the clinical benefit, but like, is there actually potentially a series of problems you're setting them up for down the track by actually giving them the so-called treatment? And I think that's what the evidence, what the cash report is saying.
Makes me wonder what we're saying now, or what people are saying now, that in a year, 2 years, 5 years, we'll look back and be like, "Whoa, they really saw it early."
Yeah.
For me, I think it's starting a 16 ban.
In China,
China. Oh my god.
do you think
Okay,
people are going to be
China
talking
is-
about pillar in
is-
next couple of years? I hope
China
so.
is heating up so much. That the tweet you sent through that they directed at Japan,
Yeah, I think Nick sent it.
Oh,
Yeah,
you sent it.
one
It
of
was
us.
you,
Someone
eh?
sent
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
that was wild.
Yeah.
That's just an outright threat.
It's really like
aggressive, yeah.
a pretty intense kind of diplomatic crisis between Japan and China.
And they've just stopped importing seafood from Japan, as I saw this morning.
Yeah.
Which is pretty. That's quite a
Well,
Japan is-
China's telling like it's public not to go there as tourists.
Yeah.
Because it could be dangerous.
heating up.
Stuff like that.
And then with the ASIO boss, Mike Burgess.
Yes.
So I think I sent through. Mike Hosking picked up on it and was cushioning Lux.
Yeah. I was glad to see that. Yeah.
But it's Burgess is obviously putting his neck out there quite a lot. I watched what he said in the press conference.
He's always been
who these people who
so Mike Burgess is the spy
yes.
chief
Yeah.
in Australia. He's the head of the intelligence services there, and he's come out just in the last fortnight with 2 different speeches to 2 different audiences around major concerns, like really critical concerns that they have over, particularly China's surveillance, and not just surveillance, but its ability to interrupt telecommunications. To effectively, he's saying that there are Chinese hackers or state-sponsored hackers from China who have got a presence in Australian networks, online networks.
infrastructure. Yeah.
So they've embedded themselves in those networks. We don't know, or they don't know just how extensive it is. They suspect it's really bad, and that a lot of the stuff hasn't been activated. So if the Chinese government wanted at some point to sabotage networks like, public water,
Telecommunications,
sanitation, telecommunications, all sorts of things, then they could probably just make the order and sabotage it. I mean, they had the Optus outage, which I think was a year or two ago, and that cost the Australians over $1 billion Australian dollars. So that could begin happening, but on a scale that they've never encountered before. And so this was like really in terms of the online sort of space. This is the most critical point in Australian history in the last 30 years since the internet became a thing, where they've faced something like this.
It's crazy. Yeah.
That's so scary.
Now, we heard like virtually, I actually haven't read a single article in New Zealand since any of that stuff came out of Australia over the last fortnight.
They're not going to report on it.
I mean, that's the point. Is I'm absolutely like dumbfounded.
But that's why it was so good that Hosking brought it up.
Well, yeah, but and I mean that's the biggest radio audience in the country. But the point is that we're not seeing it in any of our headlines.
And I do it. At least he brought it up directly to Luxon face to face, which I often enjoy when Luxon goes on ZB, because Hosking does just like blast.
He doesn't care. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I think you are right. In 5 years, we'll look back and we'll just say, well, I can't believe we were more concerned about China and some of the behavior that they're not even
I don't think it's going to be in 5 years that we are.
You can
say that.
18
I think that even less.
People keep saying to me, "Oh, you keep talking about China. You only ever talk about China." It's like, I'll stop talking about China when they stop recruiting people and MPs on LinkedIn and trying to pay them money to get information.
Well, that's right.
From
That just
Parliament.
happened in the UK.
Yeah, that's just they're trying to recruit people in Parliament and in the House of Lords through LinkedIn, and that's the start of it. Like, infiltrating infrastructure and electronic systems. Like, yeah, well, I'll stop talking about China and the CCP when they stop doing that. But as far as that's concerned,
I think we're going to have to be seen as somewhat crackpot in the meantime.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's crackpot.
No, I know.
We just talked about that
It's
yesterday.
just perception, but
The Public Service Commission released a report about integrity and trust in our public services yesterday. And one of the threats to it, which was outlined in a 50 page report that came up 12 times, was foreign interference.
Yep.
And it's like that's not crackpot. That is a genuine concern within our public service. That who are we recruiting? Who runs our infrastructure?
Yeah.
These are genuine concerns. And it's not just about Taiwan; it's about New Zealand.
But yeah, for me though, like when I bring up Taiwan, it's not because there's going to be another conflict somewhere in the world. It's because Taiwan is a democracy, and it's been a democracy now since 1996 when they had their first sort of like presidential elections. And so for that time, we've had 30 years almost to basically say, well, look, actually, Taiwan, we do recognize you. We do recognize that you are effectively a sovereign nation. So we're just going to call you that. But we haven't. Why? Because people wanted to make more money from China.
Yeah.
And that to me is a betrayal of what we actually should be standing for in this country, because we are a democracy. And if we don't stand with other democracies in affirming like who they are, and that the fact is that they, compared to an authoritarian country, doesn't matter how big the Chinese economy is, Taiwan is able to do that and stand on its own 2 feet.
Yeah.
I think we should be affirming that. And
Do you reckon that a conflict with China would be the revitalization of the West, and that we'll come together again and think we've got a common enemy to fight? Because right now there's no common enemy.
I mean, I personally, there are sometimes very constructive and edifying things that come from conflicts in the long term. But to be honest with you, it'd be a bit like, how George Washington died. They thought if they let more blood out of a system that, he'd get better. Like the old bloodletting. I don't think bloodletting ultimately does anything particularly positive for our society. Yeah. I think what does do, and I think it's a horrendous way to lose a lot of people. And all kinds of instability comes in the wake of any war. But what I do think is that when there are moments where you have to stand collectively on questions of principle, that's when you do bring people together.
100%.
But you also work out who doesn't believe what you believe and doesn't want to stand with you.
But you're forced into a position.
Yeah. Speaking of foreign conflicts, interference, large exchanges of money,
Saudis
getting some new planes.
They are. Yeah, they're getting.
Let's go.
fifth generation fighter jets from Lockheed Martin, which is the best.
They got Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah,
They
that's
got
so
jets.
funny.
Are they what? F-35s?
F-35s, yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
I'm surprised they're even still buying fighter jets. I thought everything would be unmanned in the future.
Because of like drones and things.
Well, there's a lot of drone warfare happening now.
There is, but they need them. I think so. That there's a couple of things happening there. If I can tell the listeners, there's
Tell
one.
us, please. As our Middle East expert,
Yeah,
please.
because I was born there. The Americans have some law because of their very tight and beautiful relationship with Israel.
Their big, beautiful
A
relationship.
big,
yeah.
beautiful relationship
Yeah.
with Israel. That any
Kiss the
arms
wall,
deal,
kiss the wall.
yeah, with a hat on, any arms deal to that area of the world, and I'm speaking vaguely because I don't know the exact terms, but basically, arms deals with that side of the world has to make sure that Israel maintains its strategic military advantage compared to its neighbors because they all hate them, and so. America, Trump, in the last couple of days has come out and said, "Oh, we'll sell F-35s to Saudi Arabia." Israel is the only country in the Middle East with F-35s at the moment. And what Israel does is Israel buys them and they tweak them and they make them better and stronger and more capable, which is great. Good for them. They can do that. But there is some concern that now the Saudis have it, and so it's breaking that trust and law of well, we thought we were supposed to have an advantage here. One thing that the Americans do, and they do it even when they sell these planes to the UK or other allies, is they tweak them so that instead of selling them at 100% capacity, so if it could go at 100 kilometers per hour for the Americans, it'll go at like 60, 70 kilometers per hour for the Europeans.
So funny.
So they do that. And my suspicion is that they'll do that for the Saudis. But Saudi Arabia was just doing military operations and training with the Chinese the other week. So
I wonder
there's
if
lots of questions.
Because they do that with a number of things like e-scooters. Have you seen this?
No.
So like e-scooters, wherever they are, will be like nerfed a little bit for whatever that country deems a safe speed.
Oh, wow.
But then it's like all these YouTube tutorials of how to
speed
jailbreak.
them up.
Do you reckon there's going to be a F-35
be
jailbreak
sick.
tutorial?
Do you think the future of warfare is going to be on scooters?
Could be. Mate, I just watched this video. I just watched this thing the other day about New Zealand's biggest drug cartel bust from like 2022, 23.
Well done.
And then I just watched this because it popped up on my For You thing. But one of the key ways they were delivering all this meth was on e-scooters.
No. What?
Yeah.
Someone just driving it around?
Yeah, someone just cruising around, dropping off like
What the heck?
cooked stuff and then like final
Holy
product.
heck.
And so, mate, don't knock the e-scooters. I'd love an e-scooter.
Well, I mean, kids have been used as drug runners for, like forever.
Is it?
So,
Do you remember when Nicola Willis fell off that e-scooter on TV?
Oh, so
no,
sad.
On like Cuba Street?
Poor thing.
You should not go on an e-scooter if you're on camera. That's
well,
number one rule.
I mean, I feel bad for you. I don't trust myself.
No.
E-scooter either.
A few rules for being on camera. Never hold up a blank sign or a blank piece of paper because you're just opening yourself
write
up.
something on
Someone
it,
will write
yeah.
or draw anything on that sign. That's one of my number one rules. Second one, don't do anything that's physically compromising. So no trampolines, no e-scooters.
Well, do you remember Boris
running down
Johnson
the hill.
when he was in, I think, Japan, and he was in that game of rugby?
Oh, and he
Oh, and he bumped
Pulled
that
over the kid.
Yeah. And he wasn't even in the game of rugby, but they gave him the ball for a
football or
moment.
something.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's right. No, it was rugby, and he was running down the sideline and just absolutely
bulldozed
dropped
the
his
kid.
shoulder on the kid. But just going back to your point about Saudi and the US and this F-35 deal, I also saw this week a really interesting story around Israel and its military support for Germany.
Oh, I didn't know.
So they've been actually helping rearm Germany.
How the turntables.
You mean tables too?
That's an office joke.
Oh, that's it.
How
Oh,
the
no, I do.
How do you spit on Michael Scott's name like that?
Anyway, there's an incredible, irony,
Yeah.
right? Historical
Yeah.
irony that Israel would now be helping Germany rearm and prepare for, potential European conflict that spreads from Ukraine.
Well done.
The Germans are clearly concerned about what Russia is doing and its capacity beyond Ukraine.
Totally.
Yeah.
Mate, speaking of Germany, you've just reminded me. Got sent this link this morning. Germany's arresting people for social media posts.
Again.
They've got hate speech laws there, right?
They have been for a while, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then a few weeks ago, obviously, I did that debate in Germany was brought forward in the debate as the shining example of why hate speech laws are really good and why could they work in a democracy or in New Zealand or Australia and wherever else. And I laughed because obviously we know that's not true.
Yeah.
And then this morning I sent this article about people being arrested in Germany for posts on Twitter.
What the heck?
crazy.
Have you seen the
Yeah.
Asian guy? The Asian guy in the UK who's-
Korean bacon man.
who's like, he puts bacon, I don't necessarily agree with him, but he puts bacon on himself to like fend off Muslims.
Yeah, I've
this
seen
is his whole thing, as a shtick. But he's being indicted under terrorism law.
Yeah, they gave him they stopped him at the airport. They didn't detain him though. Like he was able to leave. They gave him a notice. He has to show
Yeah.
up for a court hearing or something.
It's pretty crazy though.
The UK sucks, eh?
I love the UK. It's like
Yeah, so do I.
You
I
would, mate.
just
You
love
would.
the UK.
I don't love what they're doing.
Sharia law
Yeah,
home.
I don't love what they're doing to it.
You would love the UK.
I
You
do love
blend
the
right in
Dude,
over there, buddy.
right in. Call to prayer. Let me run it.
For wives.
Nathan's on a roll today, I gotta say.
Why? Look, listen. Okay, if I can't be honest here, where can I be honest? Where can I just?
This is not where I.
Where can I just cut loose? You know. Someone gave me feedback last night on the podcast though. Really enjoyed it. They said they liked the way that we communicate, conversate. So if you do have feedback, please pass it up. Looking to improve every time.
Of course.
Even if it's critical, we always open to criticism.
Free speech.
How much did you pay your son to say that?
He does not listen to the podcast. He wants to record a podcast with me, but he's actually got no good points. So I was like, "What are you going to talk about?" And he goes, "Oh, I don't know."
We should have him on.
We definitely
Yeah.
shouldn't have him on. We saw on Tuesday 45,000 signatures, Aryan, make their way to Parliament.
45,000.
In a convoy of Kia Carnivals and
Oh, what?
in their Kia Carnival
That's
convoy.
because you like the Kia Carnival.
Well, I want
don't
a
you?
Kia Carnival, but
Is it a car?
it's
So,
a nice car.
it's like a family wagon.
But it's like we looked at getting one when we needed a new
Fantastic.
car when we found out we were having
Yeah,
Elisha.
yeah.
And it was like secondhand was still like $70,000. They're massive though. They're really good cars, but brand new. I think at the base model was like 85.
Goodness. What the heck?
Yeah, it's like
What does it
casually
do?
it's just a big car.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a.
Cars are expensive, man.
But no one wants a people mover. That's the other thing that's good. Like the new model is actually quite nice looking.
Oh, okay.
So you're sort of paying for not looking like you have a van.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough. But they showed up in Kia Carnivals.
What's just a joke because a lot of mums have them. See, now it's not funny because
I'm just out of it.
Now you've
ruined
made me
it.
over-explain
I've
it. And
It's not funny anymore.
I'm not going to stand for it.
It was a pretty emotional meeting, wasn't it? On the steps of
Allegedly.
Parliament.
Yeah, they got.
I just didn't believe that Catherine Wood was there. I just thought she was so busy.
No, that's what I read. I mean, I actually read and I saw some footage of it, and they were saying themselves that they felt extremely emotional about what was going on, and I can understand that because there were some pretty harrowing
There's
stories.
some puberty blockers out there.
Well, there's some pretty oh my gosh, there's some pretty harrowing stories that obviously some people have been telling through this campaign because they've had kids that have been really badly harmed, self-harm, suicide, that kind of thing. So I mean, I get it, I totally understand it, but I guess like as we've been saying, it's I know I said to this. Said this to you guys yesterday. Oh well, thanks, Arian.
Sorry.
But I said this yesterday, like when we were chatting, is that it just feels to me like we could also just have a petition where we get like 45,000 signatures, from people in New Zealand saying that they want to end poverty.
I'll sign that.
I'd totally sign that. But what does it actually translate into? If you could tell me how you would do that, how you would end poverty, without actually sacrificing everybody's civil liberties.
I can tell you,
Without making us a socialist state.
I can end poverty right now. Everyone is poor.
Yeah. No more poverty.
There's
We
no
haven't ended
value.
poverty.
Yeah.
You've just taken it to the masses.
Redefine it.
Or just
Um,
yeah. I won't say that. But
That's true though. It was literally an exercise in confirming bias. It was like,
Sure.
This is not the argument, and this is what they've done really effectively and ineffectively. They've made the whole issue about whether or not there's an issue. No one's denying that. We all agree there's harms online, but what they haven't done is take the next step to say, and here's the solution. Because right now, all there is there's a frenzy and a moral panic.
Yeah.
And if you don't agree with them, you're a bad person and a pedophile, and you don't care about kids online and all this and that. And it's like, sure, but you just remember as well, the faces of that campaign are extremely wealthy. They live in an extremely affluent area. They don't ever imagine that anything could go wrong for them in their life because they're not bothered at all about what's happening in the rest of society. They are privileged people, as are we, but they don't have the ability to put themselves in someone else's shoe and think outside of that and say, maybe this wouldn't be positive for the majority of New Zealand.
To me, what it does is it kind of just reminds me like there's an approach to major sort of social problems that's been really popular in recent times. Like, you think about youth suicide more generally as an issue. Just talking about youth suicide, it was assumed would help, deal with the problem of youth suicide. And actually, there's really compelling evidence to say that just talking about it openly with teenagers doesn't reduce youth suicide. In fact, in some instances, it's led to copycats or to kids, finding extra motivation to go ahead and take their life.
That's the idea in their brain.
Yeah, it's almost added a kind of romantic element to it, which is crazy to say, but that's what a lot of the research has now been sort of pointing to. And we can talk about a problem all day long, and we need to acknowledge there's a problem. We need to understand how it's sort of perhaps come about, but that's no substitute in the end for practical answers, solutions to the problem. And that's what we're not talking about properly.
I just want to say these issues point to a broader social issue. Like these are little symptoms of something happening deeper, I think, in our culture, where there's a lack of meaning, and people are losing sense of themselves and identity. And it's we live in the most peaceful time. If you look at history, most prosperous. You have entertainment, you have food, you have everything you want at your disposal. And I think the answer for a long time has been the answer to our problems has been these things. It's been the peace, it's been the food and the entertainment. But increasingly, it's very clear that your soul needs something more than that.
Sure.
Like we can keep talking about it, but these are symptoms of, and even the stuff with social media. It's like, yeah, there's harms to social media, but it points to something broader with our culture, that young people are getting their sense of identity from likes.
Well, yeah, it's a crisis of meaning.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
been going on
That's
for
exactly
a long time.
Yeah. And
US.
I'm a man of faith, and I was reading this proverb, and it says, "When a country is rebellious, it has many rulers." And that's just the first half of it. But a ruler with discernment and knowledge maintains order. But I just read that, and I thought, when a country is rebellious, it has many rulers. When people lose the sense of control over themselves, when they're not able to control themselves, you have these issues that rise up in culture where there's such issues with social media or suicide or mental health, and then you end up, I need an answer to this, and so then you look at the government because we failed to take responsibility over ourselves, because we failed to not be lazy, because we failed to care for our own families and get parents to be responsible with their children and to educate their children. We then rely on the state to educate them. We then rely on the state to deal with social media.
Yeah,
I just think this is just a general comment.
I think it's you're right, and I think the problem is that some people have got confused now around when people are being democratic citizens. It doesn't mean that they're mini dictators. It doesn't mean that they yell and yell and yell till they get what they want. If anything, democracy actually depends on self-control, right? And if individuals don't know how to exercise self-control and also don't know how to find that reasonable compromise in situations, then you don't have democracy. You basically got democratic sort of laws and a system in place. But it can't be sustained if the people themselves
can't control themselves,
don't have the ethos.
There's a lot of people who don't want that. Like they abdicate self-responsibility, and they think that we're being red-pilled or right-wing for believing in ownership and self-responsibility, right? And they think that everything that exists around them is they're entitled to it. They believe that the luxuries that exist in New Zealand are everywhere, in a sense that they should just have it. It's Marxist in a sense.
It's deeply Marxist,
where they're like, well, I should have everything that I want, not just everything I need, and it's my right to have it, and I shouldn't have to work for it if I don't feel like working for it.
It's also fascist.
Yeah,
because that's it's a totalitarian kind of philosophy, really.
But where did it come from? Because I feel like for a long time the New Zealand identity was, get your hands dirty, get stuck in, do hard work. Where in our journey did we lose this to where now it's all about, gender identity, cultural identity. I am owed all these things, entitlement, I'm oppressed, the government's oppressing me, but also I need the government to sustain my lifestyle. At what point did we actually lose sight of being a nation of people who are happy to work and provide for themselves and be responsible for themselves,
I think it's a human instinct. Like, I actually genuinely think it's a human instinct to be lazy.
A natural thing?
Well, not that it's a good thing, but I think what we have in New Zealand is something that we've inherited over a long time, and people have built it.
We didn't build it.
No, we didn't build it, but we've inherited it, and we're squandering it. But I think it's such a human. That's what children are. That's how children behave. They're like,
Do you think that people were having this conversation 50 years ago as well, though? Because sometimes I think about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like there's nothing new under the sun. Do you think we're just having the same gripes and problems that we had 50 years ago?
I mean, I'm not one of those people that thinks that everything that we see right now has always been kind of happening the way we see it, right? I don't know that there were certain conversations that were being had, but I think this conversation is one.
Yeah.
And it's always
one as in one or W?
Well, this conversation we're having right now has been a conversation throughout the ages.
Right, yeah.
I think though it often has sort of those peak moments where it really comes to the fore and a lot more people get involved in that discussion. I feel like that is happening more and more now, and I'm excited by that. And I hope that there are enough people that exercise self-control, that consider the principles of how do I treat my neighbor, those sorts of things that really undergirded democracy in the past and made New Zealand kind of largely what it is now. I hope those voices come to the fore, right, and that they can have some cut through. But the difficulty is that, even just after World War II in the early 50s, like that you could argue that in the 1950s, New Zealand, that was New Zealand's heyday. There was like incredible prosperity relative to the time. Yes, there were certainly, still problems around race. There are other issues like that. But in terms of the standard of living, for instance, it was unrivaled. It was probably one of the best places in the world. If you wanted, you took the average person in New Zealand and just wanted to give them, the best, you put them in New Zealand. That's what we had. Yeah. But there were still questions. There were still people who were motivated by ideologies at that time. Those who were like big believers in communism.
There's always going to be questions, though.
Yeah,
But that's one thing that I'm seeing in our comment section a lot. Anytime I put up anything that is positive about New Zealand or democracy, it's like this flood of people calling us, stupid. Oh, you don't actually know anything. The system's corrupt. It's controlled by the Illuminati. All this and that. And I understand a lot of that sentiment. But then I'm also like, but do you not think that we could make a difference if we actually wanted to, if we actually engaged, and no one's saying it's perfect. Like I said in one of the interviews, I said, New Zealand's democracy is incredible, but we're not utilizing it well. Yeah. And so many people only heard the first half of that statement. You're an idiot. You think New Zealand's amazing. I do. Why is that critical? Why is that something that? Why is that like? It's not. Don't criticize me for thinking New Zealand's amazing.
Amazing doesn't mean perfect.
If you don't like it, mate, like
go, just leave.
Well, you don't have to stay. No one's forcing you. Honestly. But here's the other thing. Well, I can't leave because they won't let me leave. Who won't let you leave?
Don't go.
When you got to leave, is Erica Stanford standing there ripping your passport in half? Is Chris Pink saying a lot of immigrate?
They might have been true during the height of COVID, but
yeah. Oh, honestly,
but not now.
It's
victim brain.
Yeah, exactly. What is
no, I think that's one of the things that concerns me the most. Well, it's probably the thing that concerns me most. Actually, is the number of people that are saying things like, "Well, when we're talking about China, for instance, America's no better." Like, no, it is. It is. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
America has some really terrible things to answer for, even in very recent times.
Yeah.
Where do you reckon these people want to live?
I don't know. I think they're largely living in an idealized, world of their own making, and that it doesn't really bear any resemblance to what we're all having to deal with.
You see that Patrick Big David Jubilee thing that he did? And it was one capitalist versus 20 socialists.
Yes.
Well, they're socialist communists.
Communists, yeah.
And he just straight up goes to one of them because this guy's complaining about how he can't get a job and all these things. He's like, okay, I'll hire you. He goes, well, I'd have to think about that.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I've just offered you a job, X amount of dollars. He's like, well, I have to decide whether I align with you. And he goes, and this is the thing. You have choice. You're choosing not to take this job, so you're not hard done by. Yeah. This other girl, he's like, so you're a communist. Let me give you a one-way ticket and $20,000 to any communist nation. You can stay there. She said, oh, no, thanks. I like living here. These people are not rooted in reality at all because they want to complain about their surrounding. But where would they rather live?
Oh, complaining gives you such a great sense of meaning. Again, it's just the meaning thing. It's like if you're a victim, everything that happens to you is not your fault, and you have a sense of meaning, and you can complain, and like it's such a tempting fruit.
I think though too, like again, the media's job is to criticize when necessary.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people get stuck in that loop, sort of the media loop, where they think that while the media are kind of trying to expose wrongdoing and so on, which is a crucial sort of thing that they should be doing. that everyone just needs to do the same. And I actually don't think that's necessarily the case. We're free to do that. We can criticize if we want. But I don't think it's healthy actually to spend all our time doing that.
No, exactly.
I think
To criticize the government.
well, anybody.
Oh yeah.
I think we can have our criticisms, but we really
build
do have to
something.
think. Well, what can I do though to help sort the situation out?
Do you know what I saw the other day that I just had to double take on was someone commented on one of our posts, like a critical comment, and I went to their account, as I like to do. And in their comment it said, supporter of all these things, right? Supporter of LGBTQ, Titiriti, all these things, right? And then at the end of all the things they support, they said, as does everybody else. And they've just like effectively said, I support these things because everyone supports these things. And it's like that lack of awareness that maybe, no, not everyone agrees with you, or that there's diversity of opinion out there, or that you're part of the majority and there's some, that other people who disagree with these are a really fringe minority. It's like, it's not self-aware at all. It just sets you up to be...
It's not a numbers game. It shouldn't be. I mean, you don't take a substantive position on something because of the numbers,
everyone else
right? That's a logical fallacy to sort of say, well, I've forgotten the Latin term for it, but basically to assume that just because the majority thinks something is right, it's stupid.
well, they thought the world was flat for the longest time, and still a couple people do,
That's why.
They should go to the ice wall.
But they confuse the kind of majoritarian principle and democracy for passing law, for instance.
Yeah, no.
They confuse that with what's right, and that we're seeing that all the time now, right? We're seeing people thinking, well, because it's law, it's right. No, that's a ridiculous view to take. The reason we have the majoritarian principles because it works practically speaking. In order to achieve compromises to move on to the next issue. We can then, of course, circle back in a few years' time and decide whether we actually still think that's a good idea and whether it's worked or not, and then we can improve on it, and maybe we'll overturn it or change it, and so on.
Can I just take us down a little rabbit hole here because of this topic? You had some really great comments the other day around the regulatory standards bill and the 200,000 submissions. And
I'm trying to remember what I said.
Well, I obviously we chatted about it as a team, and the fact someone was like, "Well, you guys surely you oppose this bill going through because 200,000 other people opposed it as well, and that's not democracy."
Like 98% of people at select
98% that submitted
at select committee said no.
And I tried to explain to them the difference between obviously a referendum and a select committee, and what's the purpose of a select committee, and they keep coming back to this number 200,000, 98%. So I just wrote back. I was like, okay, well, nearly 2 million people voted for the government, and it's a government decision. So that's their mandate. So it doesn't matter even if you got 1 million people to submit at the select committee. It's still a 2 million person mandate. I think it was like 1.8 million people voted for the government, right? But people don't understand that. So, you study politics. Help someone out there who's struggling to understand that just because they get 45,000 signatures or 200,000 submissions, that actually in a democracy we elect representatives. And
to
we've
carry
given
out
them a mandate.
We don't have. There's this thing called a direct democracy, and I think this is something they had back in the olden days, in like Greece, olden days, where it was like
You've got to clarify how old olden days
super
you're doing.
duper olden days.
Well, when I was born.
He did it himself.
Hey, you're young. You're
carry
a
on,
young
carry on.
guy.
Stop lying. Anyway, a direct democracy is essentially like where every single decision requires a majority vote. Where it's like, hey, we want to pass a law on, I don't know, traffic lights.
Speed bumps.
Right. Election. Everyone vote on it.
So Switzerland has a system quite similar to that.
And if you want that, you can try and advocate for that. But that is such an expensive and just it takes a lot of time. Right. And it's not a very efficient way of doing it.
And you need very well informed, engaged citizens.
On every single
practically
issue
to make it work.
Yeah. But we don't have that. What we do have is we elect people we trust, and I live in Pakuranga, and I think
And they campaign on what they were going to achieve.
and their character, and I meet them, and I see their policies, and I say, okay, I trust you. I want you to do this, and these are the policies you advocate for, and these are the principles that guide your decision making. Something might happen in 3 months, in 3 years' time, because you're going to be in government for 3 years. Something might happen that isn't in the zeitgeist, that isn't in the social just conversation right now. I'm happy for you to be in there to make a call on that. And that's kind of the system as it goes. And I think Nick made a great comment the other day just on the select committee stuff. It's like select committee is, I think, more for qualitative discussions about
sourcing perspectives
on the actual principles rather than you're here to vote on things.
And sharpening your understanding of where the problem might lie and so on.
similar thing happened with the Treaty Principles Bill. I think lots and lots of people
Submitted against it.
Was it against it? Hobson's pledge, which is 20,004, was counted as one because it was like an email tool. But anyway, there was lots of people who.
Do you recall Hobson's pledge?
I don't. But all that to say that there are numbers that you could play around with. If you want to play the numbers game.
Also, it wasn't a government bill, which is important.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there's qualitative and quantitative issues around it.
I just think it's a funny argument that people bring up all the time. We talked about it a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know, let's have a petition to get rid of the government.
So we
That
just
was the election.
literally
You
that's
lost.
called the election.
Yeah, and people just don't understand, which is kind of what you said, Ariane, where you said that every New Zealander is stupid, effectively.
Did I say that?
I think
Which
that's what you
part?
said when you said that we don't have an informed public. Do you understand on that?
No, we don't have the level of engagement and awareness, I think, on so many issues.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't know anything about the gene technology bill, and people are fussing about it. But I don't know. Like,
There's so much to be across the way. Like,
There's so much happening.
we heard a few messages about the gene technology bill.
Yeah.
And what I could see in the commentary was like, oh, this does sound not great.
Yeah.
Same as the regulatory standards bill.
Yeah.
I wasn't super across it until we started getting comments,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
why I brought it to you guys,
Yeah,
and we sort of had that team discussion online. There's so much to be across. Too much.
I would just add one thought on that regulatory
Please.
standards bill, and that is that, on our law, is that I think part of the objection to it has been that, the courts have made decisions and they've given us principles to work with, and now you're saying that this law is going to really stop a lot of that from being implemented. But that's because those who objected to this new law don't necessarily see, like, they see judges in a different light. So they think of judges as being equal to Parliament. The reality is that in our system, our constitutional sort of setup, Parliament is sovereign.
That's right.
I mean, our government determine who the judges will be.
Yeah.
And so, that's not to say that we can't have as much impartiality as possible from from our judiciary, but to look at court rulings that actually have a profound impact on all New Zealanders, actually, not just say on Māori issues, which has been where a lot of the criticisms been directed. To say that those judges should ultimately be able to overrule the voice of Parliament or the will of Parliament is a rejection of this principle of parliamentary sovereignty. So
It's crazy.
yeah, but I think it's partly because a lot of the people that are involved just haven't understood that principle in the past, and if they understood that principle, then they might look at this issue and what they want to achieve and say, well, let's now then work with a new understanding of the role of Parliament and its sort of preeminence in our
This is
system.
the regulatory standard.
Well, just those who've
in
criticised
general,
the
right.
regulatory standards bill,
Yeah.
so that they would look at it and say, actually, rather than trying to go through the courts still, we actually need to focus our attempts, to change, whether it's issues to do with, issues affecting Māori or whatever. We need to now change and try a strategy that actually goes through Parliament.
But it's impossible for them to achieve what they really want, because it's easy to get an extreme or an ideologically captured person appointed to a position than it is to have the government pass something that will require mass buy-in.
It takes more work,
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like they've found this caveat or this pathway that worked really effectively for quite a while now, which is why so many people have lost faith in the judiciary, which is why so many people are pushing back against a lot of these tribunals and pseudo courts and unelected officials, because it's been abused. The power's been abused. So it's like, ideally, would we want the government to get involved? No, the government wouldn't have to get involved. Same with having free speech things in universities. The government shouldn't have to enforce these. But ultimately, the institutions are not operating the way they're supposed to, which is independent, non-political, non-partisan.
I'm just thinking back to when I was doing, law at university, and some of the lecturers there were absolutely activist in the way that they presented their vision of the law in New Zealand.
And they have academic freedom, right?
Yeah.
So they should be able to teach and educate how they see fit, but they shouldn't also be able to punish students. Like, I imagine you probably push back on some of these things. And,
I
and raise
did.
questions, right?
Not knowing if I could back myself with enough evidence, but But I kind of really bristled at the kind of principles that they were proposing,
Yeah.
and saying, hold on a second, these basic principles that we've been reading about that have formed the Westminster system, that have formed, like common law in countries with sort of a British origin, that you're really talking about actually overthrowing that or overturning many of those principles.
I think I told you guys ages ago, but maybe 2 or 3 years ago, a young guy that I was friends with, he was in my sort of pastoral care group while I was a pastor. He was studying law. Really awesome guy, super sharp, nice family, everything. When he graduated, he got a job at a firm that was quite heavily moldy and into, the treaty and all these things. And I remember I was chatting to him one time, and we were talking about the Treaty Principles Bill. And he said, well, I just don't think that normal people should be able to have a say in any of this because they're not educated.
Normal people.
Normal people,
Wow.
yeah. They're not educated. They don't understand it. I've studied law. I'm a lawyer.
Oh, no.
And I said to him, well, do I pay tax? Is it the government that represents me? Do I get a vote? I think it requires everyday people, not just lawyers. And this is the theme that I found with a lot of lawyers. We sort of circle back to the start now where I said I hate lawyers. There is an elitist mindset and a classist mindset where they're like, because we've put in this level of work that should be respected, we should have the more important voice. But that's just not at all how a thriving civil society should operate.
Sure. No.
We should all have equality of our vote and our voice.
Equality before the law, yeah.
Yeah.
There's this it is economical, but Hayek has this short essay on why command economies don't work, which is Marxism, and he says why it doesn't work is because you can't have one person at the top who dictates every single motion that happens on the ground because they're actually not on the ground and they don't know what's happening on the ground because he's in his office.
Lost touch.
He's lost touch. He doesn't know. But how we can fix it is the price system. Like the price system is literally, you want more chips, I'll make more chips. We'll price it out, and because I'm on the ground, I know what the price of it. Anyway, all that to say, you can't say people are stupid. You can't say, well, I don't trust the normal people because it's the normal people that are building the houses. It's the normal people who are dealing with the land. It's the normal people. You talk about the guy and I don't know, the farmer in Ashburton who's just mowing. It's like he's the one that's, as you say, paying taxes. He's the one that's trying to raise his kids through the public education system. Like he knows way more actually than you might, buddy.
And in an emergency, say our civilization falls apart, he's going to be sitting pretty because he's going to know how to work the land. Yeah. He's going to know how to restart. And then all of us will be like, probably shouldn't have bought that EV.
Because like your example, the guy mowing his lawn in Ashburton is more likely to understand the practical effects of a policy that came out of Wellington because he's having to try and implement it. Right? Yeah. He's trying to deal at the interface. I was going to say just on this point, I was reflecting on it with the kind of meltdown within Te Pāti Māori.
That's a generous way to say it. Sure.
Well, okay, but this incredible split that's occurred, and 3 against 3, if that's what it is, and just to realize though that there are a number of sort of calmer voices out there in Māoridom who I was thinking, I don't know how I ever would have said this, but Hone Hariwera, is one of those calm voices who actually just put out a call to Māori saying who've been supporting TPM, listen, this is not really going to help us at all. We need to calm ourselves down and try and figure out how to reconcile. If we can't show that we can reconcile, then we probably shouldn't be trying to do what we're trying to do. Because we won't have the character, we won't have the go forward that you need. And that's the Māori party that I remember when Tariana Turia and Peter Sharples were leading it. And I could get behind a lot of what they wanted back in the 2000s, just because it was about how do we lift living standards, how do we lift, improve outcomes for Māori, because very
destroy the system.
Clearly as a cultural group, there's been some really, really tragic things happening. So it was a little bit of a blast in the past, hearing that. And I think there's a recognition actually that given what's happened with the Regulatory Standards Bill around the Moana, was it Moana Takutai Moana Bill, that these sorts of things that a lot of Māori are realising actually Parliament is sovereign. That's how it works. And so then, they're not necessarily able to achieve the aims that they've set out to achieve. And therefore they're rethinking why having TPM is so important in the long term. If they want to achieve, now I'm not
gotta clean
saying
that up.
this.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
saying this because I agree with what they're
totally,
putting
but-
forward. I'm just saying simply that if they want to achieve anything in terms of legislation and real change in regards to the law, they're going to have to
their act together.
figure out how to rally themselves politically and work through Parliament. Because if they don't do that, if they can't build coalitions or they can't build, sort of cross-party support on different
If they're not
measures,
serious people,
they won't achieve what they want long
But
term.
then they've come out in the last calendar year and said, Parliament, we don't adhere to its sovereignty. We're going to start our own Parliament.
That's
we don't
so
believe in the
stupid.
system. Māori should have their
I
own
think
thing.
that was just headline grabbing. I don't think that in the end
I
that
think it was them not
they're-
understanding exactly what you're explaining
I
right
don't
now.
think they know anything.
The voters, I believe, are coming along what you're saying,
so
but I
mean.
don't
I
think that the
shouldn't say
leaders
that.
are.
well, if there's anything good that comes out of this process from their point of view, and I think for the country actually too, if there's anything good that comes out of this process, I don't. In one sense, I look at it and I think, well, if you want to grandstand and do some of the real like crazy stuff that some of these TPM MPs have been doing over the last year or two, then go ahead. But it isn't doing anything really to actually advance the cause of Māori, if that's what they're really concerned about. And I mean, I'm not here to lecture Māori and tell them how they need to do what they need to do.
You're their white savior.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and be the white savior, but purely from the point of view of anyone who wants to see legislative change, you've got to go through the legislature.
Yeah.
You've got to go through
You've
Parliament.
got to use the system to be effective in the system.
Even if you're a minority, in the case of Māori, who are, I think are approaching 1 million.
Well,
now,
yeah, I saw a
in
number
terms
that
of, like,
18%.
20% of the
So yeah,
population.
18% now.
So almost 20% of our total population.
But they have
Of
changed.
Aotearoa New
They have
Zealand.
changed how they allow. Like it is just self-identified now. In the are you Māori or not?
Yeah, I saw
sure.
something about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
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 But that's the thing. If you're white and you try and pretend you're Māori,
Man, I see so many of them.
I'm Māori.
yeah, but I mean, you don't really get very far. You don't really get embraced wholeheartedly by the community. What about this idea of if you're Indigenous but you were born outside of New Zealand, so you're
Automatic
Māori but
citizenship.
born outside of New Zealand, that you should automatically get citizenship?
I think we spoke about this briefly because of Keisha Kasugi.
Oh, what? If
Oh,
you're
we did.
Māori
That
and
was a
you're
while
born
ago.
in America, for example.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
she had her children in Australia,
What the heck?
right?
Did you guys talk about this maybe the very first?
No,
No,
I think
no,
we
no,
talked about
no,
it with you.
Oh, did we?
I don't think you should have birth. Well, it's not birthright citizenship, right? Because that would be being
We
born
talked
in that
about
nation.
other stuff, yeah.
Okay, well, we've talked about it. Let's move on.
No, let's bring it up again. Let's bring it up again.
we talked about
stay where you're
being-
born, mate.
Being able to
No
run
immigration.
for
Well, I was just thinking about this, right? I can claim UK citizenship. I have, in fact, because my dad's
Parents,
English.
yeah.
My dad was born in England. But that's it. That's as far as it goes, and that's up to the UK to decide whether they want to do that or not.
It's not bad.
I think it's true for any country, but
But they could come here, right? If like Keisha, for example, she's still a New Zealand citizen.
Yeah.
She could bring her children here under her citizenship. They could become residents
kind of like naturalize them
and
through that
naturalize them.
process.
Yeah. I don't see why that is inconvenient. Like, why do they need
Well,
to?
it's inconvenient. It'd be more convenient if you could just come back and go.
That was the wrong
"We're
term.
Indigenous
I
and
can
we
see
claim
why
it."
it's inconvenient. I don't see why there should be an entitlement.
Right.
Because are they going to become natural citizens of Japan and Tahiti as well? If you want to trace it back further and further and further and further.
I am curious to know how they would quantify it or qualify it, right?
23andMe, Ancestry.com.
Yeah, but then
don't know.
then you're talking about blood quantums, right?
Exactly. And it's the only way that they could justify it, and it's racist.
Yeah.
I don't have Samoan citizenship. I couldn't get it.
Your dad was born in Samoa.
Yeah, my dad moved over when
Can
he
you
was...
not make a claim?
I don't think so.
They'll have you. Happily. They'll happily have you. If I
I
was
go
somewhere, yeah, I'll take
Should
it.
I? Samoa's great. I haven't been in a decade. I really want to take Deb and the boys over.
Yeah.
Because have you ever been? You've
No, I've
been
never
to
been to Samoa, no.
Fiji and
Been a few Pacific Islands, yeah.
Samoa's mean. I love Samoa.
Mm.
We should go
All
to
of us.
Samoa.
There you go.
It is way nicer than you're expecting because the Chinese government has done a lot.
Oh,
Of
thank you. Look.
I
knew they were onto something. The
I went to
Chinese.
Samoa the first time in 2000 and maybe 2007. So I was like 8, and it was like what you would expect from like a Pacific nation. It was quite rough and not like third world, but definitely developing nation.
Sure.
Then I went back in 2015 more recently for my sister's wedding, and it was so nice. Like the CBD was beautiful. There's all these nice buildings and shops. The roads were really nice.
Wow.
And I just remember being like shocked at how fast things had developed. And then someone told me, yeah, it's because they developed all the roads so that they could more efficiently export all these resources.
Well, Tonga's looking like that now too, right?
What
Same
the
reason.
heck? Cook
Tonga,
Islands,
I think, is a bit more of a holdout because Tonga's the only Pacific nation that's never been colonized
Yeah.
because of
Is
the
it?
royal family. Yeah.
They still have their
I
king.
thought the Germans had a little go there.
No, I don't think so.
No? Wow.
I think so.
Well,
What,
the Germans are in Samoa, but
Yeah,
not,
a lot of German and Samoa. The story I've heard about Tonga is that there was a lot of like colonial settlers heading through the Pacific, and then a missionary went to Tonga and said, "Look, you guys are going to get effectively colonized and potentially taken over and mistreated. What you need to do is establish like a king." And then so when the colonial settlers arrived in Tonga, they're like, yeah, this is our king. And that's how the Tongan royal family was established. And they're the only Pacific nation that hasn't been colonized and is independent and has their own...
Why did they not? Because they had a king. They were like, we're not going to colonize you. Or
Well, they just had this sort of
They had a
infrastructure there,
system.
and they were
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Wow.
you can't do this to us because we already have...
Unfortunately for Maori, they tried that and it didn't quite work because they didn't have, I suppose, all of the tribes on board.
Oh, okay.
The Kingitanga movement.
Yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah.
A bit too late.
Yeah, so they
Mate Tonga, though,
well, the settlers in Auckland still was like, nah, let's invade. So,
Oh,
yeah.
Crazy.
well, a little
Good
bit
thing
of
I went
history.
for Tonga.
A little bit of history.
I love
A Tongan doctor told me that story. One amazing doctor, geriatric doctor in Dunedin, told me that
thank
story.
you.
He's a great guy. Well, anyway, gentlemen, we have been talking for a while, and Nick, you do have another
You got an interview.
meeting. You've got an interview that you're going to. It's going to be very interesting.
That's right.
But any final thoughts, feelings, opinions before we let Arian roll his slow outro?
We were talking about Marxism. I was going to read a quote from Karl Marx, but I lost it. So here we go. I'll find it.
You find it, Nick. Any final thoughts from you? We're going to Wellington this weekend.
Yeah, we'll be.
We enjoyed Christchurch last weekend.
We did. We had a great time. And did we mention Christchurch?
No, we didn't. But
So we
it's
spoke to a great group of Christchurchians. Is that what you call them?
Cantabrians.
And I guess Cantabrians, yeah. We were there with Penny Marie from
The Kids Be
The
Kids.
Kids Be Kids and Bob McCroskey from Family First.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nathan. You're my memory today. And I
finishing
thought
each
we
other's
had a really,
sentences.
really productive time there. I'm
was
looking,
fun, eh?
looking forward to
It was a lot of
Wellington. I think again, same sort of thing. And I think what was cool is just to get a sense of where people are at right now in 2025. It's easy sometimes to think, that a certain idea is really prevalent, and you realize that actually that might have been true 2-3 years ago, but people have moved on a bit from since then. So whatever it is that's motivating them or they're concerned about, you get a real strong sense of actually what people are talking about when you go to these events.
Yeah.
Okay? And sometimes online doesn't give you that same insight, I think. Yeah.
No, there was great people there. I enjoyed meeting you all, if anyone's watching. And hopefully you found some value in
Same.
what we shared.
I'm sure
And
they did.
thank you to the ladies who gave me a seed, they called it. And it's a stone that they had painted for handing out as like a evangelistic tool. So
Yes,
they
that's
painted
beautiful.
one
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
You got
yeah.
one as well. Eh?
Peter Rabbit.
You got Peter. I got a nice palm tree. So thank you for that. I wish I could remember the name of their group, but they're great ladies. But Arian,
Wow.
and we're going to Wellington this week. We'll see you guys in
Yep.
Wellington. Arian, roll the slow outro, buddy.
All right, I'll read you this quote for our listeners to think about the irony of Karl Marx. But this is in the British Museum. I saw this, and it says Karl Marx saying, "Frequently, one had nothing to eat." This just tells you his whole, just his being and his entitlement and his brokenness. But frequently, one had nothing to eat, but that did not prevent one from going to the British Museum. There, at any rate, one had comfortable chairs to sit on and a pleasant warmth in the winter, which was lacking at home, if one had anything like a home at all. So you can see just exactly where all this Marxist entitlement comes from, because he couldn't look after himself. But anyway, all that to say, thank you all for listening. I'm not going to let anyone comment on what I just said, but thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. Stay in touch, as always. Stay in tune, and we'll see you soon.
Lovely.
Great.
Great job.
Thanks
Great job.
Thanks, Harry.
Thanks.